Well, I thought we were going to escape this snow that everybody's getting here in the United States, but here in mid-Mo we're getting pretty good snow going on. The snow is not too bad because we got our trusty Subarus here, so they'll get around pretty good in anything like this. We don't get too high. But the biggest problem, and I don't think you can see it, is this temperature set flat on 0 up there. That's the part I don't like. So I'm going to go back in the house here in a minute. I'm going to be out here briefly. And we'll talk about some westerns or something on there just a little bit because I can't do nothing outside. We'll see in a little bit. Well, it's obviously too cold to be outside fooling around now. And I've been in the house here, of course, not doing much, just sitting around getting fatter all the time because I'm not out doing that. Can't even start my little tractor because I think I messed up my glow plug the other day. The heat gauge they had rigged up on there was loose. I just laid it on top of the engine, and next thing I know, I turned the glow plugs to heat them up, and it got smoke coming out under the hood there. So I left that thing laid down on one of the glow plugs. Now I got to figure that out. Anyway, that's what it is outside. So I thought maybe just talk a little bit about westerns. I like westerns, the old ones. I guess some of you younger folks don't even, maybe never even seen them. Most of the westerns are all gone now, but they did have some peculiarities in there. You know, like everybody, every show you see somebody drawing on somebody else. Well, in reality, I don't think that hardly ever happened. Yeah, they might have had a fight in when they held up a bank or a train or something, people shooting them, but as far as actually challenging somebody to a duel, I don't think that. According to what I've read in the history magazines, that didn't really happen. And speaking of drawing, if you would take that in a literal sense, the guy says, I don't want to draw on you. No, you're going to have to. Makes you think of somebody getting out of his box of Crayolas and say, turn around and write it and I'll draw some pictures on you here. Kind of like, I know that sounds stupid, but if you take the word draw as literal meaning. And I see a lot of other things too. Like the guns, they hit the 45, and I've got a 45 long coat. And when they shoot it, they don't kick any more than 22. Well, that's not right. Obviously, they can't use real bullets. I guess they may use blanks, and blanks don't kick much because you're not pushing a heavy bullet out. Pardon me. But they take and they'll shoot through there was a guy who tried to hide behind a 1/4 inch plywood. Well, in fact, they do hide behind that card table. They got to be blasting away, but the bullet don't go through it. Now, that's another thing. That obviously is not right. A 22 would go through that, probably 22 short. And the funny thing, too, is they can hit somebody 100 yards away with a pistol. He's right there around the corner and they can't hit him or shit. He just can't hit it. But I say, no, I'm not knocking westerns. I love them. I watch them all the time on the computer here. All the old shows. And that is until CBS probably decides they can make money, like they did on Perry Mason and M Squad and there was Gunsmoke. All that. You can't find them on YouTube now. If you go on that, what is it? CBS All Access or something like that. Well, first off, I don't like CBS, NBC, or them because of their political affiliation with all these communists, otherwise known as Democrats. But anyway, getting back to the westerns and stuff like that, they're good. Usually the old ones are pretty good for the whole family. Most of them have a message that you're not going to get by with anything. I mean, you rob a bank, you're not going to get by with it. Or you kill somebody, you're not going to get by with it in the end. And kids back then had enough brains to know that you don't get a real gun and go out after your buddy playing cops and robbers. First off, most of the country kids, they see the devastation that bullets can do. They're certainly not going to shoot their friend with it. I'm not saying it won't be an accidental shooting. Well, this is getting off the subject of westerns, but anyway, basically I like guns, I like westerns, let's put it that way. And if I had I'm probably getting too old now to have much of a collection, but if I had one of every kind of gun they had back in the Old West, I'd be very happy. I'd like to have them on display, but I can't. They're too expensive, first off, and secondly, there's no point in it now. But anyway, back to the old Western things like that. Like I say, they had good messages for kids and everything. Just not going to get by with something. And the old Western didn't have, I mentioned this in the last, or one of the other videos previously. They didn't have to have blood and guts flying everywhere to get the point. But now then, the producers and the studios, they have got to outdo the next one in the grossness of their movies, because they think that draws people. Well, I guess it does. If they're bloodthirsty, it does. But anyway, I guess I ramble on this here little subject here. And like I say, the young folks probably don't care much about the old shows. I do. I like the old 50s, 60s shows, even in the 40s. And a lot of the old westerns are even before that. Around in the 30s and everything, we got some really good actors back in them days. Of course, their video equipment wasn't nearly as good, I suppose, but they got the point across. Okay, well, I guess that's enough of my rambling about this subject here. And really, was a worthless subject, didn't help much. A lot of people don't care much about that old stuff, but I do for once. All right, well, thanks for the ones that watched and did, and we'll talk to you later.